Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you, and welcome back to another gadget test. Today, I'm going to be testing this fire hydrant looking gadget. This is the Easy Kabob. It has a plunger portion here, which you fill with ground meat, and you plunge it down and extrude a tube of meat. Put the skewer on this side. And I saw this on a YouTube infomercial before a start of a video, and I quickly went and got it. This was $29.99, not exactly inexpensive. It seems to be pretty sturdily made, and I've already washed this, and I'm excited to see how well this meat kebab extruder works. At this point, I've tested a lot of kitchen gadgets, many of them looking quite phallic, including the sushi bazooka, the rolly, which extruded a piece of cooked egg. Incredible. I'll put a link down below to that playlist in case you miss those videos. Also, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Alrighty, let's go ahead and test out the Easy Kabob. So before we do that, we need to make our meat or kebab mixture. Now today's recipe inspiration comes from a childhood memory. When my brother was very little, we had a babysitter. Her name was Simi, and we would stay at her house until my dad was done with work and he'd come pick us up. And very often she would make a dish called Kabob Gadget. At the time, I did not know what that was. I just saw that she took ground meat and she would mix it for a long time with her hands. And she had what I thought at the time were swords, very thin pieces of metal with a nice sharp point to them, but they weren't so sharp that they would cut you, but they were thin and very long. And she would expertly take the seasoned ground meat and squeeze the meat onto these skewers that were shaped like swords, and it always smelled heavenly, and I always wanted to try it, but I never did. And when I was thinking about kebabs, I thought, oh yeah, remember when Simi used to make that? So today I'm going to be making a version of Kabob Gadget using this gadget. So it's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be on the swords, but I think the taste is going to be quite similar. So let's go ahead and get started. So the recipe I'm going to be using today is inspired by Persian Mama. I'll put a link down below to the original. And I also include a link to my website, which will include a printable version of the recipe I'm using today. Before we start mixing things, I already prepped my onions. This is 1.5 medium onions, yellow onions that I grated, and I have let drain in the strainer here. We want to remove the water because we want the mixture to be sticky enough to stay on the skewer. I think that's the real trick to this recipe. So in this large bowl, we have 1.5 pounds of ground beef. Now you don't want the beef to be too lean, about 80 to 20% fat. So that, and 1 pound of ground lamb. Now we're going to add the grated onion. I'm going to squeeze out any remaining water because we want this to be quite dry. I also grated 3 cloves of garlic. To this, we're going to add 1 egg. Oops. 1/2 teaspoon of coarsely, freshly ground black pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, and 1 teaspoon of za'atar, which is a Middle Eastern spice blend that contains sumac, hyssop, thyme, and oregano. So most recipes call for sumac, which has an acidic, almost lemony flavor to it. I didn't have any on hand, and I'm going to be substituting za'atar, so that's what I'm going to be adding. Add all that in there. And now for the fun part, we're going to mix this really well. This is what I remember Simi doing, and she would use her clean bare hands and really knead and work the meat together. I remember she had bracelets, and I remember watching, just kind of mesmerized as she would do this until the meat was just right. We're doing this for 2 reasons. Of course, number 1, to get all the flavors incorporated and mixed together. But secondly, we're also getting the meat to the right consistency. Traditionally, the kebabs are made on these really long, flat skewers. And if you don't get the meat at the right consistency, it will fall off as you're cooking it, which we don't want. So mix, mix, mix. I saw some people kind of throwing it too. In Chinese cookery, making meatballs, the meat is, a little bit of water is added, and it's mixed very vigorously, so you get this kind of chewy texture, which is much coveted Yeah, it's so interesting how you can get certain textures by implementing specific techniques. Okay, I'm gonna keep working this. So here's the gadget, has a nozzle. It looks like a fire hydrant, doesn't it? This plunger portion comes out, and we're gonna fill this part with the meat. This part comes off as well, which makes it easy to clean and clear out of any excess meat. So put that back together, and we're going to place our meat inside the tube. Here we go. Here we go. Whoop. All right. There's some meat in the chamber. I can fit a couple of these, I think, especially in the very beginning. Now we're going to put this right onto the plunger until we see the meat come out the front here. So put this on like this. Let's see if it makes any good sounds. Oh my gosh, I can see it approaching. The meat's coming through. All right, let's see if we can get a close-up of this. Can you hear that? Oh, there it is. There's the meat right there. See that? Alrighty. So now that we see the meat beginning to show through the nozzle, we place our skewer through the back like this, and then we just push down. All right, and it's supposed to extrude it, and we're just going to catch it on this side. All right, ready? Here we go. Oh my, it's making some noises. Now I want to make sure that Kabob isn't supported with the stick. Here we go. That's incredible. Look at that. Now I'm gonna just cut this part off and push the stick through and separate it. I want to make sure I have enough for a handle so that when I cook them, that I have something to hold on to. There we have it, meat on a stick, a kebab. There's my first kebab. Pretty great. It works just as advertised. Amazing. Okay, maybe I'll make one that's a little bit longer. So traditionally this would be grilled outside over coals, but since it's raining right now, I'm going to be doing this on an indoor grill. So let's make another one, shall we? Here we go. The squelchy sounds are pretty impressive. All right, so you can get about 2 per extrusions, like per load. Okay, I'm gonna scoot this forward. Okay, so you just press the skewer forward and it just kind of cuts the meat off. Okay. So basically it's like a sausage on a stick. Look at that. Ta-da! Okay, let's do another one. So to do another one, we just pull this off and refill it. Oh, there's plenty of meat in there actually. There's still more meat in there. Okay, let's keep going. So insert skewer till you see it, pull it back a little bit, and then plunge and catch. Wow. You don't have to apply too much pressure. I thought you would have to apply a bunch, but it's not too bad. This part's a little bit niggly though. See? And then your meat starts to fall off your stick. Don't you hate that? Look. So I'm going to continue making more kebabs, and I'm going to place these ones in the refrigerator so they can kind of firm up a little bit and they'll be a little bit easier to handle while we're cooking. Okay, see ya in a minute. Alrighty, my lovelies, I'm back. I've shaped all my kebabs. I am preheating my grill here. This is a grill that I would use to make Korean barbecue, but since it's raining outside, I'm going to be using this rather than using charcoal outside. Alrighty, so this is getting nice and toasty. Let me go grab my kebabs. Doo-doo-doo. Here we are. I ended up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 skewers. I found when I was using the Easy Kebab, it got a little bit easier to use as I learned how to use it. And also as the chamber got fattier and kind of lubed up, it was much easier to extrude the kebabs. It was a little bit messy, as any kind of sausage making is. There's kind of meat and fat everywhere. Is it easy? Yes, it's definitely easy to use. Is the payoff worth the cleanup? I'm not sure. I did find that there was some meat left in the top portion of the nozzle of the kebab maker, and I had to use a skewer to clean it out. For $30, it would have been nice for them to include a brush to help clean out the chamber and the nozzle, because it is quite narrow. So yeah, I suppose if you make a lot of kebabs, then perhaps this would be a gadget that's useful to you. I just frankly wanted that extrusion experience, so alrighty, so the grill is nice and hot. This is grapeseed oil. I'm just gonna oil it just a little bit here, just so that the meat doesn't stick. A little bit of oil. Piping hot. Now we're just gonna place the meat. I think I'm gonna do it this way. Nice. And cook these up. Can you see them? All right, sizzling away. I don't want to move them until they get kind of, I don't want to touch them until they kind of solidify. Smells great in here. All right, I'm going to wiggle them a little bit. Give them a little turn. Yes, I purchased this grilling tray from H Mart. All right, so I'm going to cook these a few minutes on each side and then give them a rotate, and just so everything gets nice and golden. All right, I think it would have been easier if I done it this way. I'm going to turn around this way. Smelling great. Smell the onion. Meat, of course, and the za'atar. Oops. Oh, that's what we want. Look at that. Getting all kinds of oil in the area here. Alrighty, so after these are all cooked, we will give these a taste. See you in a little bit. Alrighty, my lovelies, I am back and the kebabs are finished. They look marvelous. They have reduced in size by quite a bit. I would say by a third, a lot of shrinkage, and I cannot wait to give these a taste. I went ahead and warmed up some pita. This is traditionally eaten with either rice or lavash or some kind of flatbread. So warmed up my pita bread, and I've also got some garden tomatoes and some fresh onion. Cannot wait to taste this. So to assemble, I've got my hot bread here, and I'm going to take a piece of meat, take a kebab, and fold it in half and pull. There it is. And I'm going to add some tomato. Actually, I'm going to put in two. So I'll put another one, put it inside, pull it out. There we go. And then I'm going to add some tomatoes. This is the best time of year for tomatoes. Tomatoes and some raw onion in there as well. All right, let's finally give this a taste. Itadakimasu. Mmm. Mm-hmm-hmm. The meat is beautifully seasoned, well balanced with salt. The za'atar in there is lovely. The za'atar in there is lovely. It adds a nice complexity that's bright, herbaceous. I can definitely taste the thyme in there. Lovely. I didn't get a bite with tomato yet. The tomato adds some acidity and some brightness, a little bit of sweetness. And I like the contrast of meat with fresh vegetal juicy tomato. Let me get a bite with onion. I think the onion is essential. It lends a really great crunch and a sulfur flavor that is echoed in the meat itself. Delicious. Yeah, and I think cucumber would be lovely in this as well. A nice big crunch. So good. Yeah, and for me, a little bit of fresh chili, maybe some added heat would be welcome too. I love that combination of grilled meats with that bright, fresh chili flavor. Absolutely scrum-delicious. I do have to say, I think the pita bread isn't the best choice of bread. I think a lavash would be better, something a little bit thinner. Then you can really enjoy the combination of meats and vegetables together without any kind of distraction of the bread. The bread's a little bit thick for this application, in my opinion. Or rice. I think rice would be phenomenal. Alrighty, my lovelies, there you have it. A version of Kabob Gadget. The kebab maker works exactly as advertised. I'm not sure if it would be worth it, in my opinion, to purchase it for $30 and then have to deal with cleaning it up. I think that's the biggest drawback for me. It just gets covered with meat and meat fat, and it is not all that easy to clean without a little brush. But if you are making lots of kebabs, then maybe it would be a tool for you, or extruding a lot of sausages, although this would be sausages without any kind of casing. So there you go. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, check out my website for a printable version of this recipe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye!